Now, with all the very latest from around the world and here at home, it's the ITV News.
The Queen's heartfelt message about the loss of the man she loved. In her first Christmas broadcast since the Duke of Edinburgh's death, she paid tribute to her beloved Philip.
That mischievous, inquiring twinkle was as bright at the end as when I first set eyes on him.
Meanwhile, a man is arrested in the grounds of Windsor where the Queen is staying. Also on the programme, as thousands get a Christmas booster, a bittersweet day as only some families can reunite.
And we have engine start. And liftoff.
Journeying to the beginning of the universe, the launch of the world's most powerful space telescope. And the street in South Wales whose glittering Christmas display is hoping to make a big difference.
This is ITV News with Kylie, Pentelow.
Good evening. It was a speech from the heart and which will likely have resonated with many families across the country. The Queen's Christmas broadcast was the first since the Duke of Edinburgh's death. She paid tribute to her beloved Philip, saying she understood why the festive season could be particularly hard for those who've lost loved ones. In pared-back celebrations, the Queen was joined by members of her family at Windsor, choosing to spend Christmas there because of concerns over COVID. Our royal editor Chris Shipp reports.
The royal family Christmas was only switched to Windsor earlier this week when the Sandringham plans were cancelled because of COVID.
Happy Christmas.
So while the Queen wasn't seen today, Prince Charles and Camilla were, as was the Wessex family, Prince Edward, Sophie and children, all at a service at St George's Chapel. It meant the Queen could see these family members for lunch afterwards on what was her first Christmas day without Prince Philip. Today's traditional message was therefore a moment for the Queen to pay her own very personal, very moving tribute to the missing member of her family.
Although it's a time of great happiness and good cheer for many, Christmas can be hard for those who have lost loved ones. This year especially, I understand why.
She had on the desk in front of her the reason for that understanding. A solitary framed photograph of her and Philip together. She called him "my beloved Philip," and the Queen spoke about what she is missing the most.
His sense of service, intellectual curiosity, and capacity to squeeze fun out of any situation were all irrepressible. That mischievous, inquiring twinkle was as bright at the end as when I first set eyes on him.
The end she spoke of came in April when the Duke of Edinburgh died, aged 99. And the Queen, like so many others at that time, had to mourn alone, necessarily distanced from her family by the COVID restrictions. But she said Prince Philip would still demand they all got on with Christmas.
But life, of course, consists of final partings as well as first meetings. And as much as I and my family miss him, I know he would want us to enjoy Christmas. We felt his presence as we, like millions around the world, readied ourselves for Christmas.
There was no mention of Harry and Meghan, who released a new photo in their Christmas card this week, but she did speak about 4 new great-grandchildren, of which Harry's daughter Lilibet is one. The Queen, who has had to cancel a number of engagements after poor health in recent weeks, did look forward to next year, when she will mark 70 years of her reign.
And February, just 6 weeks from now, will see the start of my Platinum Jubilee year, which I hope will be an opportunity for people everywhere to enjoy a sense of togetherness.
But she noted there will be someone missing this Christmas.
And for me and my family, even with one familiar laugh missing this year, there will be joy in Christmas. The hopes and fears
We are told the Queen is unlikely ever to speak about Prince Philip in this way again. Today was the moment she chose to do it. Chris Ship, ITV News.
Meanwhile, a man has been arrested after being accused of breaking into the grounds of Windsor Castle, where the Queen is celebrating Christmas. Police say the suspect was carrying an offensive weapon. Well, Chloe Keedy is here. Chloe, what more can you tell us?
Well, this all happened at about 8:30 this morning when police responded to a security breach inside the grounds of Windsor Castle. Officers from Thames Valley Police and the Metropolitan Police attended, and a 19-year-old man from Southampton was arrested on suspicion of breach or trespass of a protected site and possession of an offensive weapon. Now, he didn't actually get into any buildings, and we're told that those security processes were triggered within moments of him entering the castle grounds. The suspect's now in custody, being questioned by police, and members of the royal family, many of whom, as we've just heard, were at Windsor Castle today to have lunch with the Queen, have been informed about what happened, and the police say they don't believe there is any sort of wider danger to the public.
Chloe, thank you. Next, many of us had hoped Christmas would be a time for family reunions, but for the millions still isolating, that isn't an option. But across England, an army of NHS staff and volunteers opened vaccination centres to continue the fight against the spread of coronavirus. Festive holiday or not, the booster rollout continues. James Webster has more.
A Christmas wish granted. Now they're all vaccinated. It's the first time Stella has been able to get together in Bristol with the whole family for 2.5 years.
They all used to come to visit me, and that was the worst thing, them not coming. And the best thing about this Christmas is that we're all together.
353. And at vaccination centres across England, thousands of people have spent the day getting what's been described as a jingle jab. What made you choose today to come down?
Was the only available date.
You'll never forget this Christmas Day, will you?
No, I don't think I will.
The decision to open these centres today was made in the face of record COVID cases, a further 122,000 by 9 a.m. yesterday. There'll be no update on case numbers now until Monday.
It's the time of the year when people are enjoying time with their families and their loved ones and stuff. It's a time where we reflect on what's happened. And so the message is, if you haven't had time or if you haven't thought about it, think about it now.
The number of infections means there are many people spending the day in isolation.
We were supposed to go to Bedfordshire to see my family. We're in Norfolk, just like we were supposed to last year. But yeah, those plans have gone up in flames, but at least I'm with my daughter and my wife and we're all together.
There is still a wonderful thing you can give your family and the whole country, and that is to get that jab.
The Prime Minister's Christmas message comes as his government prepares to decide next week whether to issue either new voluntary guidance on limiting contact with other people or to impose new laws restricting such contact. James Webster, ITV News.
The Archbishop of Canterbury has used his Christmas sermon to urge people to treat migrants with compassion. 67 people were picked up by authorities as they attempted to cross the Channel today. Justin Welby said the Christmas story showed people how they should treat those unlike themselves. And the Pope has appealed for COVID vaccines to be made available to those most in need. In his festive address, the Pope said he was praying for the pandemic to come to an end. Now, the world's most powerful space telescope blasted off today, and scientists think it could discover answers to some of the big questions humans have always pondered. It's been a long and costly journey to lift off, but today's successful launch was a Christmas gift to all involved. As Robert Moore reports.
All systems are go. We're inside a minute now.
The world's scientists and astronomers were holding their breath.
And we have engine start. And liftoff. Decollage, liftoff from a tropical rainforest to the edge of time itself. James Webb begins a voyage back to the birth of the universe.
This was a Christmas Day launch from the Amazon that may revolutionize the understanding of our galaxy's origins. James Webb is the successor to the Hubble Space Telescope and 100 times more powerful.
Séparation Web Space Telescope. Go Web!
Then, from a camera mounted on the rocket, this scientific marvel edged out towards deep space on its own. And the launch team back in French Guiana could finally express their relief.
Go Web, go Web!
The telescope has many more manoeuvres still to make over the coming weeks, as it unfurls its protective shield and then reveals its exquisitely crafted mirror. It's more than a decade behind schedule, but its promise is immense, looking back at some of the most distant events and objects in the universe. This was the launch that may change science, astronomy and cosmology, a Christmas gift to all of us. Robert Moore, ITV News, in the United States.
The former England cricket captain Ray Illingworth has died at the age of 89. The ex-cricketer, who also coached England, had been receiving treatment for cancer. The sportsman led England to an Ashes series victory in Australia in 1970 to 1971. Next to the doorstep displays lighting up a South Wales town, people living on a road in Beddau have joined together, turning their front gardens into a winter wonderland. It's not only raising spirits, but money for charity too, as Rupert Evelyn now reports.
A sprinkling of festive lights brightening up not just the odd home, but an entire street. Here in Beddau, the community have come together with the sparkling aim of raising money for charity.
It's just amazing because you think, you know, it is doom and gloom at the moment. Everyone's just in their house, not knowing what to do, but it's just bringing people out, getting them out walking, seeing displays, the children's faces when they see, you know, the creations in the garden, and they're just like, oh, it's Willy Wonka, oh, it's Batman. They're just really, you know, they're living it.
The theme is film and television, and 21 homes are taking part, with visitors helping to fundraise for the charity To Wish that supports those affected by the sudden death of young people.
To Wish couldn't help families here in Wales if it wasn't for the kindness of our communities. I know the charity have brought communities together, and actually you cannot underestimate the power of community, and we want to give back as much to the communities as they give to us.
The displays are more than just an attraction, they're making a difference, shining a light on a cause and a community too. Rupert Evelyn, ITV News.
Now, this year more than ever, we've had to find new ways to celebrate Christmas. So how about this? Well, we end with these pictures of skiing Santas in Tochigi, north of Tokyo in Japan. Organisers said around 100 of them took part. And that's all for now. We'll be back tomorrow, but from me and all of the team, Merry Christmas.